Pumps, were you in Houston?
I was in Houston at the Houston rally. It was extremely peaceful.
What's up?
Very.
I'm a little behind today,
like
but we here, we here.
You know what I mean? I got that vibe.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing here is the MAGA movement has always been exaggerated. And Kylie has sent you a screenshot of the No Kings rally juxtaposed to Hanks's inauguration, the first one right here. So on the left, you have the No Kings rally. Look how crowded. I would call this a erect penis crowd.
How are y'all doing out there?
On the right, you have Hanks's first inauguration. And this looks limp dick energy
That's
to
a limp dick, for sure.
That's a limp dick if I've ever seen that. And you may remember Hanks 2.0. He packed his toys up and moved his inauguration inside because he knew that it was going to be abysmal. And so if they were so popular and weren't made up of bots that their oligarch friends, Zuckerberg, Musk, put into all of these machines, all of our social media stuff, you guys, they would have a huge counter rally, but they can't because they can't get the crowds. And when they have rallies, here's what happens. People beat up cops with American flags. People take a shit in the Capitol. That's what happens. Or they wear hoods and they say, they shout white power, or Jews will not replace us. And then they have Nazi flags and Confederate flags. So they can suck it. They can totally suck it because the majority of the people in this country are not scared little titty babies that are scared of these dorks. Little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, that's my new nickname for him, and I will not abbreviate it. It shall not be abbreviated. Unlike Kanks, who, you get that. But little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, the big Christian, out there just lying. He's out there lying today. Kylie, play the clip of little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, the one that I sent you where he's saying it would be easier, basically insinuating if we had a king.
Be with you, thanks.
So let's start with the No Kings rallies. You called these hate America rallies. What do you mean by that?
Well, that collection of folks that I listed were certainly part of it. We congratulate them on a apparently violent free speech exercise. I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years.
That's what a bitch-made motherfucker looks like.
The irony of the message is,
pardon my language,
if President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall, by the way, which was open because President Trump hasn't closed it. In the last shutdown, 2013 era, President Obama closed the National Mall, closed all the national parks, didn't allow people to engage in all this. So, I mean, they needed a stunt, they needed a show. Chuck Schumer needs cover right now. He's closed the government down because he needs political cover, and this was a part of it.
We'll get to the shutdown, but...
What? He needs political cover? Okay, that's here nor there. Mike Johnson is the biggest fucking asshole on the planet. The only person I despise more than him is Caroline KKK Levitt. I hate her so much. But this guy, I was a First Amendment lawyer for 20 years. Bullshit, you were a pedophile apologist, AKA look at the dean of the law school you were at. So please, do not shove shit in our mouth anymore. We know who you are. You've told us. You're a liar. You're a hypocrite. You're a cruel dick that likes Grindr. That's who you are.
Yeah, the DL Demon Queen contingency in MAGA is something Pumps, myself, and all of our listeners are focused in on. And, Pumps and I have this ongoing conversation about little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson's cheeks that are always flush. And there's an argument that Pumps makes that maybe he put on too much blush. The argument I make is that he feels the duplicity that he lives, like he probably just got rode hard and then he pulls up the next day to talk about the Lord and all of this stuff on the media circuit when everybody on
most of these MAGA
this guy
overcompensating people
either a DL
are in the closet
or is more obsessed with gay men than gay men are obsessed with gay men. I've never seen anything like it. Somebody said it, cheeks are from thigh burn.
No, they did not.
Yeah, I burned us vigorously. And that track.
That's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hanks, they tried to propagandize before the No Kings, which, by the way, is one of the largest single protests in American history. And these people are so wildly unpopular. We showed you the crowd size disparity. But they tried to propagandize for a week straight. And the propaganda only hits with the cult. And I saw some new polling that came out today. Kylie, can you put up this poll that I sent you? 37% approval rating for Hanks. And here's what I'm going to say. We can do better. All right?
Yeah.
Got below 30%. But I have always said, Pumps, have I not?
You
that
have.
I believe the cult is around 30% of the country. There are 30% immovable voters that are part of this personality cult, that believe everything they say, that wake up every morning and think, how can I consume hate? And how can I blame Democrats for all of the problems? These are not big thinkers. These are not informed voters. But everybody is waking up now, and everything is political right now. So if you guys have people in your lives that are like, I just don't want to talk about politics, call them out, because everything is political right now.
Including but not limited to the NFL. Now we have to talk about Bad Bunny. Did you see that
And Shador Sanders.
Trump wants to have her own Super Bowl show? She wants to be an act. She wants to sing. And I'm like, bitch, you can't sing. You never have been able to sing.
Is that real?
Yes, that's what that's what I read. I don't know. Kylie would have to fact, but I've seen it a couple times and I just thought,
Yeah, but I don't think that's real. I think that's, I think that she's going to do like the turning point.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it at the turning point thing. Because
Yeah.
they're such fucking racists.
But here's the thing. Like, can you imagine, you guys, sorry, I'm taking off my shoes. So can you imagine, like, you're so upset, you can sit and watch black athletes for all four quarters.
Cheer for 'em.
But then you cannot watch a Puerto Rican, which is an American, by the way, sing when we have this huge Latino culture, which,
That
by
part.
the way, part of the Latino vote was what helped get Trump elected.
That
And
part.
look at how shitty they treat their electorate, which brings
Yeah.
me to what Hanks put this AI video that he put on the internet as his response to the No Kings rally. And I just want to say that in any other planet, any other country, a president of the United States doing something like this would be disqualifying. But because of hypocritical DL demon queens like little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, they bend the knee to this guy all the time. But every time you see Hanks in video, you guys, he's frail, demented, older than shit, makeup's getting worse and worse, gaining weight by the minute, looks horrible, right? So they have to put up this AI to act like he's some sort of badass. Play this, Kylie. All right, so it shows him in like a Top Gun style, and there he is with a crown on, and then he's dropping literal shit on American cities. And so when you think about it, and then they do it to Harry Sisson, who is like a Gen Z influencer. So when you think about
It's the president of the
them
United
saying
States.
that liberals hate
piece of
America,
shit.
or Democrats hate America, or
It's
people
crazy.
that oppose Trump hate America.
It's
Yet
crazy.
then they go out and they show him with a crown on, dropping piles of shit on people exercising their First Amendment. That is absolute
You're not a man
disdain
if you support
for
that.
America and for Americans.
Your man
These are
card is
people
revoked.
Who have been butthurt and wound
That's
up
crazy.
like cheap clocks for 10 years.
That's
over
all
Hillary
of this.
Clinton calling them a basket
That's
of
all of
deplorables.
this.
These are the people that last week when I was on MSNBC and I called out Little Smokey, J.D. Vance, Smokey Eye sociopath, failed drag queen, Little Smokey, when I called him out on Chris Hayes' show on MSNBC and said he has a wife of Indian descent, mixed race kids, and he can't condemn racism. Why do you think he's going to stand up for you? Last week, they had an all-week meltdown over that. All-week meltdown. These people cannot handle any form of mirror looking back in them. President Trump doing the Top Gun, I'm going to drop piles of shit, because we all know clearly he wasn't wearing his diaper in the jet, so shit just falls everywhere. That doesn't hurt my feelings. That doesn't feel personal to me. When
That
I
man
see
literally
that,
could
I
not
think
fit in a
this
fighter
man,
jet.
this
He
is
literally
underabuse,
couldn't fit.
allowing this to go on.
Not only could he not
This
pass a
is
PT
enabling.
test,
This,
he couldn't
there
do
are
one
mass
push-up.
interventions that need to be
He's
happening.
the
I don't
weakest
take
bitch
any of that
in
stuff as a
America
personal affront to
leading
me
the country.
or our movement.
That's crazy.
It just exemplifies
That's crazy.
how insane and immature and sophomoric and juvenile and diabolical and just what incompetent dipshits this administration is. But when you say something about them that has meat on the bone, they melt down because there's truth to it. There's truth in the fact that little Smokey cannot defend and condemn racism, and therefore in his lack of being able to condemn racism, it's obvious that he has disdain for the fact that he has a wife of Indian descent.
Well, and children, that's the thing. It's like he can't defend his children. But going back to this video, here's what I thought. First of all, I thought he is insane. Clearly, he is insane. Somebody in his sycophant cabinet, Caroline Leavitt types, they probably put that together for him. And I thought, any other Congress, I fault Congress as much or more than I fault the sycophants around him, because they have a constitutional responsibility. And they are not, going with their oath. They are not upholding what their job is, allowing this man, who is clearly crazier than a shithouse rat, to put this shit up, and everybody surrounding him is just as crazy. But that they allow it and they don't take him down. Congress, this is the most embarrassing chapter of Congress in my lifetime, for sure. And then I go to the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court has tariffs in front of it. They have that National Guard question, and I'm like, I have zero faith in them. I fault them just as much with the immunity ruling. It is absolutely disgusting how these people have taken the power given to them in the Constitution, and they took a shit and wiped the Constitution with it because they like this old, crazy man. And in the AI video, he had all his makeup on, weird colors. I was just like, if you're gonna make an AI video, make him look more attractive. But they can't.
Well, he does. He does look more attractive. And that was my point, that he is so frail, so weak, so old. And it's difficult for them to keep up the strong man facade, because historically, when authoritarians or the dictator or the strong man become frail, become weak, become demented, the personality cult falls apart. And as shitty as he looked in that AI video, he looked a million times better than what he looks like on the morning news circuits. Kylie, play the clip of him talking about using the Insurrection Act just in the last 12 hours. Play this clip.
And I haven't used it. But don't forget, I can use the Insurrection Act. 50% of the
Try it, you
almost have used
bitch.
it. And that's
Weak bitch.
unquestioned power. I choose not to. I'd rather do this. But I'm meant
Donald Trump is a weak old crooked bitch.
Fake politicians that think that
We're gonna remember all the traitors
the radical left movement to have safety. These cities have to be
who
safe.
wanted a king because they were so weak.
Clearly, he's lying. That makes
So
zero
spineless.
sense. And he wants more than anything.
So submissive.
Stephen Miller, they want to use the Insurrection Act because they know. And as disappointed as I am in some of the Democratic leadership right now, I still believe it would be a massive blue wave. Because, and this is something I want to talk to everybody about, as much as I think a lot of the Democratic leadership is lackluster right now, I'm talking about Booker, I'm talking about Jeffries, I'm talking about Schumer. Because I lived in a red state for 51 years, I would crawl through to where my finger went to the bone, 10 feet of concrete, to vote for a corporate Democrat over a MAGA person, because in our state, the marginalization of the LGBTQ plus community, the marginalization of the Black and brown community, the dismantling of education, the absolute wipeout of women's rights are so dire in red states. So as we move forward right now, we have the leaders that we have. And that's why when you see Democratic politicians come on this podcast, we're holding their feet to the fire. Because if MAGA moved the Republican Party from a party of national security and decorum, fiscal responsibility to this fucking shit show. We need to do the same with our party. We need to take our corporate Democrats, get them in the podcast arena, and move them away from their corporate ownership. But I will tell you this much, you guys, not voting is never the answer, because people in red states, these human rights for them are dire. They are a matter of life and death. And some of you get mad at us because we'll go after Cory Booker or we'll call out Israel. And then we went and moderated Kamala Harris's book tour. And I just want to say that when you're on the, in the middle to the left, for a Kamala Harris presidency meant for people in our state in Oklahoma, to a gay kid that lives in rural Oklahoma that doesn't have the money to get out of that place, it meant a lifeline for those people. And so it's important that, I don't agree with these corporate Dems. I agree with them on 7 out of 10 things, and a lot of their lackluster leadership pisses me the fuck off. But I would crawl through concrete and get my bones to my fingertips to the bone to vote for one of them. Because when you live in a state where there is a MAGA supermajority, everybody gets fucked. From top to bottom. The fuckery is non-stop. And the Christian nationalism is just nauseating.
Facts.
But I will keep calling out the corporate Dems, don't you worry. But when it comes to voting time, if there's a corporate Dem, which I think is kind of MAGA light, I do, or a MAGA politician, I'm always going to go with the corporate Dem. But in the interim, we have a full year now, you guys, that we need to continue to move our party. I think AIPAC is a toxic issue right now, and you're seeing there's a candidate, I think the last name is Moulton, in Massachusetts, who returned his AIPAC money. And so a lot of the things that we're talking about are getting traction. But on the left, or the middle to the left, we can't just, the politicians that we have to engage with them, call them out, and keep moving the goalposts for them to get rid of this corporate money and call them out on their moral duplicity until they get primaried or something. Pumps, what's your thought on that?
My thought is this. I agree with you. We have to keep the pressure up, and here's why.
Camping World is America's used RV supercenter. We have over 22.
All right, y'all. MAGA masculinity unmasked. The insecure beta traits behind the alpha posturing. The alpha versus beta myth in MAGA. Okay, because the whole thing is based on pop, misapplied animal behavioral science. So they don't even understand what they're talking about. They're citing the work wrong. The guy who coined the term alpha, studying wolf packs, said that the way that it's used is completely wrong. So that's something you can look into if you want. But we can just take how they mean it on their terms. Because what they mean is that an alpha is dominant, ultra-masculine, leader, confident, independent, responsible, strong in service to values. And a beta, according to this pop culture, misapplied animal behavioral science, is insecure, weak, submissive, herd mentality, fragile egos, deep-seated insecurity about their own masculinity, overcompensation, and anxiety-fueled posturing. Okay? So we're going to get into that more, maybe this episode, maybe tomorrow, because I've got a whole lot to talk about in this. But I wanted to put this on the board because as we see examples in the YouTube feed of these MAGA men, we're going to point out how everything they do embodies these traits that they call beta. Okay? How weak, insecure, submissive, herd mentality, fragile, overcompensating, toxic should be on there somewhere. They're toxic too. But I've got one set done of every exercise so far. We're going to try to do 2 or 3 sets today. even though I'm feeling wiped out. You know, we show up every day, do full body every day. Today I'm feeling wiped out, but it's all about consistency. We still show up. If I really feel like going through 2 sets or after 2 sets, if I really feel like I'm cooked, I'll stop. I'll call it there. If I felt like I couldn't do another set of each, I call it now. But by showing up, my body has shown me, hey, we have more today than you thought we did. So with that being said, I'm gonna go through another round of all of these. Feel free to ask any questions, make any comments in the chat. I will try my best to answer them in real time. With that being said, let's get on with the work.
Then, and we need to continue to do that, because what's happening is you have all these corporate interests and they're losing sight of particularly the working class and the poorest. But so everybody needs to stand up for every socioeconomic group, every race, every sexual orientation, every gender, because it is so important, because they're trying to take rights away from everybody. And I promise you, I was raised evangelical Christian. At the end of the day, per their book, the Bible, it is white men that end up on top, full stop. And in my mind, it's white rich men, because Trump doesn't give a shit about working class people. And so I don't feel like any need to agree with somebody on every issue, like corporate Democrats. Like you said, if we agree to 3 out of 10, that's a problem. If we agree on 7 out of 10, that's a good ratio, because you cannot get everything you want. You don't get it in any period of life or any relationship. There's nothing that you get 100% of what you want. So, but we do have to keep pushing.
Yeah, we do have to keep pushing. And as we head into, like now we have about a year to the primaries. And yesterday was, I think, what the country needed to see that we're not alone.
Largest protest in
2.0
United States
resistance
history.
has not felt as coalesced as it did in Trump 1.0. And yesterday you could really feel it. And then there are all of these red, like Idaho, Oklahoma, Kentucky, massive rallies, over 2,700 rallies of normal people that hate Kanks, hate him. And I want to be crystal clear about this. Hating Kanks is the most patriotic thing any of us
He's
can
an
do.
absolutely terrible,
Hating Kanks equals
disgusting,
loving
deplorable
America,
human being.
period. Loving
Donald Trump,
Kanks
you're a
equals
bitch.
hating America. And I hate
You're a
speaking
spineless,
in
weak,
those simplistic
disgusting
terms,
little bitch,
but
Donald
that's
Trump.
what we're reduced
That's
to
for
right
me
now
to
with
you.
these fucking dorks.
Come get this
And
work.
Just anti-intellectual dorks. But they are going to escalate, and the Christian nationalism and the Christian signaling and their continued effort to try to label the left as a certain way, they're going to continue to do it, even though everybody saw, like I can tell you yesterday in New York, I walked probably 30 blocks. It was amazing. There were, I think, 400,000 people there. And I was able to get kind of towards the front. And there was this one guy in front of me, and he had this big giant sign. And it was heavy, and he had mounted it to this pole. He was probably, I would say, late 60s. He walked all 30 blocks with that thing. And I saw all different ages, all different skin colors. It was a happy, festive. There was a guy with bagpipes. There's drummers. Not one arrest. And
No arrest.
Split screen of what happens when
No
we protest.
arrest. In the largest
my
protest in United
life.
States history.
The split screen of what happens when we protest compared to
Beta
what they
males
protest
lie.
is
Beta
staggering.
males
Because the most recent
lie.
protest I saw of theirs were
They
a
can't
bunch of
handle
white
the
guys
truth.
in like
They can't
somewhere
deal
in
with
the South,
reality.
and they had on
They have to make up
masks,
false
maybe it was in
illusions and
Southern
delusions
California. And they were shouting white power.
from a place of
Yeah, I think
And
insecurity,
they can't even show their own faces.
mental fragility,
Well, I can't think of faith because they are absolutely
weakness.
the hypocrisy, and what they stand for is so hateful. They can do it on the internet. They can do it with their faces covered. But it is so vile that people, you see all these like things on TikTok, and it said, and like people, like random people are walking up to people of, Mexican descent or something, and they're like, go back to your country, or I'm not going to pay you. I'm going to call ICE. And I'm like, you're vile. And then the next thing I read is that person was fired. So they wear masks because in normal society where you go to work from 8 to 5, you go to lunch with a colleague, that kind of shit is not tolerated. So they have to cover their faces. The only place that's celebrated is in MAGA and the Trump administration.
Yeah, and the White House.
Right.
And let's just talk about the split screen of this. All of these MAGA people, they use their faith to weaponize against people that live in cities and towns where there's not much culture. And the only community they have is in their church. And they weaponize their faith against these people. And they get all of these people that make $50,000, $75,000 a year to go fight for billionaires because they've been told by these politicians it's what Christ would want. Here's my theory about this.
That's crazy.
Little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson. I think that Little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, he does a lot of gay stuff all the time. And that's why his cheeks are blushed. And he thinks, at the end of the day, the one thing that will help me with God is if I make America a Christian nation. So I can do gay stuff, but I'm going to also make America a Christian nation. And I think this is happening with the Supreme Court as well. Like Sam Alito and John Roberts and Clarence Thomas, and we know the handmaid is a nut, and Brett Kavanaugh. They've been groomed by these billionaires that want a white Christian nationalist country. And I think they've done the mental and moral gymnastics because they have to know they've studied law their whole lives. They're they're very academic people. So you'd feel that, like, oh, I'm really doing something against the Constitution right now. And I think the bargain that they're all selling themselves and the lie that they're all telling themselves is this will curry favor for me with God and Jesus because I'm going to turn the
Beta male submissive behavior,
into a Christian nation. And I'm going
herd
to
mentality,
the oath that I took to the Constitution, because as soon as you get into white evangelical Christianity, it is a total mind warp. Up is down, down is up. There's no rational thought. There's no critical thinking.
True.
And when it comes to white evangelicals, it's kind of a monolith. And then when you get to Catholics, it's not a monolith. You have very, very open-minded, progressive Catholics that are kind of culturally Catholics. It's a part of their life. It's a part, going to Mass is a part of their grounding sense of serenity, but they don't take the Bible literally. And so that's why you can have extremely liberal Catholics. And then you've got Little Smokey, and he's like, at one point I think he was an atheist. At one point,
and then he was an atheist, right?
I think, yeah. And now he's a Catholic. And some of these people in the Supreme Court, they're like these hardcore, crazy Opus Dei style Catholics. But here's what's interesting right now: the Pope, the American Pope, he's calling out Christians for the hypocrites that they are. And this is what I
Good on him.
Right now we need a lot of in this country. I'm not religious. I wish we didn't have to talk about religion. It's nauseating to me.
Same.
All across the board.
Same.
But we are where we are. We live in a very religious country. I think it's going to take for the Israel-Palestine situation. I saw a clip with Jon Stewart, and I believe the name is Peter Beinart, and he was on the late Comedy Central Jon Stewart show. What is it called? Anyways, it doesn't matter. Anyway, he was on that, and they were talking about how the provocations and the war crimes with Israel right now to the Palestinians is actually against their faith. And I think in order to save Judaism, it's going to take clear-eyed Jewish people to speak out against the atrocities and the war crimes of the Israeli government. And then as it pertains to the United States of America, it's going to take clear-eyed Christians like Andy Brashear and that James Tallarico and the Pope to speak to what their faith is supposed to call on these people to do, which is to leave no one behind and to believe in universal human rights and champion the most for the marginalized. And that's something as an atheist, when I lived in Oklahoma, I always was so shocked that when it came to human rights, I was so much more Christian than my Christian peers. I was always so much more Christian. I always felt like people needed health care. I felt like it wasn't my business and it wasn't my place to judge homosexuals. And if they wanted to marry, then I needed to cheerlead for that. I don't think it's right to bully trans kids and marginalize them even further. I think that immigrants are an integral part of American society that make it better. And I believe that the plight of African Americans in this country has been so devastating. And then when Black Americans start to get a voice, the way white Americans treat them it's disgraceful to me. And so I've always found in a room full of Christians that I seem to have more moral clarity than these people who went to Bible study all the time and went to church 2 days a week. Because when it comes to gay people, when it comes to Black people, when it comes to poor people, when it comes to sick people, I saw no empathy in these people. And these people, that personality type, these are the people that are governing the United States of America right now. And when you really dive into evangelical Christianity, the only rival to Jesus is capitalism. And they go neck to neck. That's why you see the prosperity gospel in these mega churches and the righteous gemstones, which is parody. But you guys, it's not far off from the truth at all. And these mega church pastors in Oklahoma, their goal is to grow the churches, make more money, grow the churches, make more money. And it's a for-profit scam. And who looks like an evangelical preacher, who acts like an evangelical preacher, who has the moral depravity of an evangelical preacher? Kanks. So, like, for evangelical Christians, he's a comfortable, immoral piece of shit because all of their pastors are just like that.
Yep.
I think the one main thing that people, I saw somebody from Denmark was like, in the chat, I just, I can't read very good, but I did see that. Here's the thing. The evangelical Christian movement teaches exceptionalism. You are exceptional, therefore you are righteous and can judge everybody else. And so that is why in my opinion, there is no empathy for anyone they believe is less than them or less chosen.
Okay, I noticed back when you were religious and then my other peers, to me, it seemed like evangelicals, there was a huge focus on their personal relationship with Jesus.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't about things that they could do to help suffering. It was all about them currying favor with Jesus. And I remember you and other evangelical friends of mine are like, well, I'm really working on my relationship with Christ. And I'd be like, it's fucking weird. Whatever. Like, shouldn't you be... you're a rich white woman. Shouldn't you be out helping people? But it's like this pressure where the religion of evangelical Christianity, you people that are watching that are Christian like, we're not talking about you. But it seemed like all of my evangelical Christian friends, there was this pressure raining down them to have this perfect relationship with Jesus. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think it goes to the narcissism and the exceptionalism. Like, my problems are more important to God than your problems or a poor person's problems. And it's important for me to get everything I want because I'm such a good person. And I'm forgiven by God. I'm one of his chosen. So I get to be judgmental of other people. I mean, now mind you, all of this goes against, different things in the Bible.
There's something we need to investigate. There's something called Christian narcissism.
That's what I was going to say. It's a narcissistic thing.
Where you think Jesus is all, like into you at all times. And I think that breeds in a society like America where we value the individual so much. And evangelical Christianity values the individual relationship with Jesus over the collective betterment of people or of humanity. And so it fits so well. And then the Republican Party is not about community. It's all about the individual. It's all about free will. And so all of these things, this is like a trifecta, and all of these people have ascended to power. And it's so crazy because for years, like local governments in Oklahoma were like this. And they were fucking crazy and they were embarrassing, but it was just one state or 10 states out of 40 that were crazy. And now the entire federal government. But I was so heartwarmed and happy to be a part. I love that you were in Houston and I was in New York, although I missed you. Renee and I sent you videos.
I know, I saw them. They were so good. And the signs were so clever. I mean, I loved this. I mean, people are clever.
Okay, so I have to show y'all my favorite. Kylie, will you go to my Instagram and get the Antifa one and cut it and then pop it up here on the screen?
And I also want to do the Megan Hassan. That was my favorite troll of the whole day. Did you see it?
Yeah, he's fabulous. He's fabulous. Looks like Kylie love that photo. He's so good. And I just feel like right now, the best thing that you can do as an American is stand up and say, I will not leave one person behind. I am not going to support a government that kidnaps people and takes hostages via ICE and then tries to play dictator on the world stage. I am not going to leave one. Okay, look at this. We found Antifa. These girls were big listeners of the podcast, but they saw me and they were screaming. And they were so much energy. So I ran over to them. Then I started screaming with them and we all jumped up and down together because we were so fucking happy. And then they had the best signs. And then there's, if you girls are listening today in the chat, tell me that you're there. Who's your daddy now? Ask Antifa.
I love that. The hair is so good on that. The liner. You know, I was really excited, because I'm not familiar with Houston at all. I've not spent a lot of time there. And so there were a lot of people that watched iHip News. So it felt like I did know people and I wasn't completely by myself. But I just, I'm with you. Like, I saw that Benny Johnson. He's like, everybody here is white and over 40. It's like bullshit. We had like Gen X all the way to the boomers. And the boomers are fucking mad. I had a lady that watches iHip News. She's like, I have worked my whole life, and now I'm doing the exact same shit I did when I was young, fighting for a woman's right. Like, how did we get here? They're just flabbergasted. And I told her,
this is how we got here.
Demographic.
This is how we got here.
You know what? It's a lot. It's not one specific demographic.
No, I know, but I'm mad at white women not this.
He had gains, but that's the thing. I mean, we're white women, and I think that we can speak to other white women. And to all the white women, specifically the ones that I know in Oklahoma City, that sit around and watch Fox News and fret over what college your child is going to get into, and then you go to your gay hairdresser, and then you go eat at your Mexican restaurant, I've got fucking news for you. You are supporting and voting for something that's going to dismantle everything that you hold dear. And your little daughter that you want to go get an education somewhere. This administration is trying to get rid of higher education because they want your daughter dumb.
What kind of secrets is Eyeglass World hiding?
No secret.
Yeah. While these commercials on, we're going to talk about how did we get here. This is how we got here. This toxic idea of masculinity that MAGA has sold to the broken, unloved, fearful, religiously abused, emotionally abused. And they said, we'll make you alpha males. But look what they made them. Insecure, weak, submissive, herd mentality, fragile egos, deep-seated insecurity about their own masculinity, overcompensating, anxiety-fueled posturing, okay? They think raging at people and being angry at marginalized and disenfranchised people makes them alpha. What makes you alpha is being a leader, being a healthy form of masculine, which has empathy and integrity, compassion for your fellow man, confident, independent, responsible, strong in service to universal values like love and liberty.
By myself, but I just, I'm with you. Like, I saw that Benny Johnson. He's like, everybody here is white and over 40. It's like bullshit. We had like Gen X all the way to the boomers, and the boomers are fucking mad. I had a lady that watches I Know. She's like, I have worked my whole life, and now I'm doing the exact same shit I did when I was young, fighting for a woman's right. Like, how did we get here? They're just flabbergasted. And I told her, it's our demographic. What are we, Gen X?
You know what? It's a lot. It's not one specific
No,
demographic.
I know, but I'm mad at white women in our group.
He had gains, but that's the thing. I mean, we're white women, and I think that we can speak to other white women. And to all the white women, specifically the ones that I know in Oklahoma City, that sit around and watch Fox News and fret over what college your child is going to get into, and then you go to your gay hairdresser, and then you go eat at your Mexican restaurant, I've got fucking news for you. You are supporting and voting for something that's going to dismantle everything that you hold dear. And your little daughter that you want to go get an education somewhere, this administration is trying to get rid of higher education because they want your daughter dumb, pregnant, and at home, catering to some abusive, limp dick husband that's probably a DL demon queen on Grindr when he's not with his family. And so this is, you're playing with fire, because these fascists at some point, even the oligarchs are playing with fire. They think their money is going to make them immune.
Yep.
At some point, all dictatorships, they turn their knives on everybody. And so everybody's playing a stupid fucking game, and you're going to win stupid fucking prizes if you continue this. But the best thing that you can do, especially if you're a big, loud Christian that wears your cross everywhere, is stand up for everybody. Stand up for marginalized people and quit voting like a selfish prick for your pocketbook, Debbie. Nobody likes you anyway. And even your gay hairdresser probably fucking rips you from top to bottom every time you leave the hair salon. Yeah, there's TJ White. He's a gay hairdresser. TJ, you know who I'm talking about. The type of people that do this, because I mean, Pump's not the same hairdresser in Oklahoma City, and he tells me all the time, these women that come in and start like promoting Trump in front of him, and I just think that is so fucking disrespectful.
Like, such a lack of self-awareness, and you're so unaware of your own privilege. You're so unaware that you should be standing up for other people because you've never been vulnerable a day in your life. You've never had to fight for your rights because your money and your skin color has always insulated you. And I would have thought that when they took women's rights away from them and put government officials in people's gynecological visits, I would have thought that would have been a red flag and an alarm, but it doesn't seem to. I guess it's the, just the lack of vulnerability in your whole life. And, you're Christian, well, I'm pro-life. Well, you're not pro-life. If you're supporting Trump, who's killing people on boats with no evidence, taking in U.S. citizens and non-criminal illegal immigrants, and they are dying and disappearing, and he's sending them to other countries, I agree with the Pope. You are not pro-life.
No. There was a sign in New York, a lot of them, that said, they were referencing a student named Dylan in New York, who was a high school student, Dylan Lopez, I believe, who was kidnapped by ICE, I think 4 months ago, maybe longer, and is still in ICE custody, and he was able to get into the United States because of a Biden amnesty refugee style situation. And this kid is in ICE custody right now, still. And so when everybody's, hand-wringing, release the hostages, which I'm glad they've been released now. We have a situation in the United States where these hostages need to be released that the Trump administration is taking. And where the fuck are all the people that were alligator Alcatraz? Nobody can find them. So this is my thing to people that want to be on the left or in the middle or want to be anti-Trump. You don't get to cherry pick. You don't get to say this group of people is more important than this group of people. When people are kidnapped and people are under attack and people are oppressed, you have to stand up for all of them across the board. Universal human rights. None of us are free until all of us are free. And you know what fucking pisses me off, Pumps? This should be the mantra of the most religious. Agreed.
And the most alpha.
Are sitting here saying
You're not
this,
strong enough
and
to
we
take
never
care of your
been,
brothers and sisters.
and we
You're
never
weak.
flinch, and we don't ever fuck around with it. And you've got all these fuck around and find out losers on.
And it's fine to be
mainly
weak,
in
but don't
MAGA,
act
but
like
some
you're alpha when
Democrats
you're
that
weak.
do it, that act like
Get that shit outta
Israeli
here.
lives are more important than Palestinian lives. It's bullshit. It's total fucking bullshit. And I want to know where all of these hostages are that ICE is taking. Where are they? Where the fuck are they? It's abhorrent. It shocks the conscience.
Shame
I
on
cannot
us, man.
fucking stand these fuckers, and that all of these Christians sit around and promote this guy and then watch Fox News, and then they pray to their Lord and Savior with their diabolical thoughts, eyes, mouth, and ears. Fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking hypocrite. I have had it.
Mm-hmm.
No,
The Daily Show. That's what
the Daily Show. Yeah, somebody I saw it. I was like, oh
These
yeah, the
people-
Daily Show.
Sorry, guys.
Well, here's the
You
thing
can
about
read
all
it.
this. I mean, when you look, in my opinion, there are crimes being committed by Trump and members of his administration and team, cabinet, whatever, every single fucking day. Like multiple crimes. Taking people and sending them to Sudan that have never been there, like that has got to be a crime. They're fucking murdering people from Venezuela. They're, dropping bombs on those boats, blowing them up with no evidence, and saying, "Oh well, they're fentanyl dealers." There's no fucking proof of that. It's just unbelievable that Congress is not standing up for this, because you don't have to be a lawyer to know that murdering people without due process is a fucking crime. Taking people off the street and never to be
You're gonna
seen or
face
heard
justice.
from again, that's got to be
They're
a
all gonna
human
face
rights
justice.
violation.
They
And
think
it's
they're
just-
not. They think they're gonna
it
get
blows
away
my
with
mind.
it.
It blows my
They're all
mind.
gonna face
This is
justice.
how-
Okay, so let's be positive for a second. You
Okay.
guys, over 7 million people, those are just the preliminary estimates, I think it's probably more, showed up nationwide. Brian Tyler Cohen reports today is officially one of the biggest days of protest in American history. Over 7 million Americans turned out to No Kings events to stand up against MAGA fascism. They are faking their support. I double dog dare ya, MAGA. Try to do it.
I
Try to
dare
duplicate
you.
it. Swing for the fences.
Beta
We'll sit here
males.
and eat our popcorn and watch it.
You could
can't
never,
fucking
you will
do
never
it
have a rally
because
like that till
people
you
are
join
too
the good side.
embarrassed to admit that they
Right.
support this guy because they
Evil
know
is
it's
tiny.
wrong. The cult, they
It
ride
hides
the flag,
online and
Trump
makes
nuts,
itself
try
look
to
big.
use the flag every chance they can get. I'm talking about
When we see the
all
real videos of those
the
bitch-made
triple
MAGA
Trumpers
rallies,
that know better.
and we
that are
compare that to
embarrassed,
yesterday,
greed and a racist.
you see what's up.
I'm talking about you. You wouldn't
see
show
what's
your ass
up.
up to a Trump rally because you know better, and you're the
They are
most
not
insidious.
masculine.
But you guys, there are people in the country that
They are
don't follow
insecure,
the news
weak,
cycle like
submissive,
all of us.
fragile,
And they see all of
insecure,
this, and this type
overcompensating,
of public protest
toxic.
can cause the wind to change. And we have to stay vigilant, and we have to stay engaged. And you
It's
cannot
not my
say,
fault.
"I'm so sick of this. It's so overwhelming."
Don't blame me. It just
Now's
is what
the
it
time
is.
to lock in even harder. Because
They can
generations
change
before us,
and
during
become
the
healthy.
civil rights movement, during segregation. I just want all of you to think about this. I think about this all the fucking
Men who
time.
serve their
And I'll
community at
never
any
forget
time.
when I was in school,
They
in my
choose to be
textbook,
evil
there was a picture of a
from a
black
place
girl
of brokenness and
walking
weakness.
into school, and in the South, and white women and men were spitting and shouting at her. And even though it was a still frame, black and white photograph, there was so much hatred, so much movement in the hatred. I could feel the racism just from this one single photograph. And I looked at her, and she had her head up, and she's walking in. And then I looked at all of the rage of all of these white people. And I thought, I wonder where all those fuckers are now. I wonder where they all are now, because they were on the wrong side of history.
Right.
And right now, we are the people who are fighting against that. And we've had to do this before. Bernie Sanders had an amazing speech. Oh, which reminds me, let's play Pumps' of Mehdi Hassan.
This was just like, I busted out laughing.
The great irony is, of course, that Donald Trump is the son of an immigrant, the grandson of an immigrant, and married to an immigrant. In fact, 2 of his 3 wives were immigrants, proving yet again that immigrants will do the jobs that even Americans are not willing to do.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
He's so good, and you know, here's what I know from living in a red state for so long. I know the white people that would immediately, because Mehdi Hassan is brown-skinned, doesn't have an American accent, and is Muslim. I know the prejudgment, post-judgment, and racism that would be projected onto him, and I see with crystal clear clarity how people like him make this country so much better.
Yeah.
That he's just such an asset, and we have to fight for all of the voices in this country. And Kylie, see if you can find that picture of that girl walking into school, and I want to put that up, and I want to leave.
All right, if y'all don't know, this is iHip News. I've had it news. I'm feeling pretty beat today. So we got 3 sets of curls, lateral raises for our shoulders and triceps. We got 2 sets of rows for our back muscles. These wing muscles right here. You know, our back muscles. 2 sets of rows, Romanian deadlifts, stiff-legged deadlifts for our hamstrings. Presses for our chest, quad squats for our quads, the front of our legs, and we'll see you again tomorrow. We show up, we do this workout every day, and I'm going to leave this up on the board because we're going to keep talking about it, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Hope you have a great day. From Boulder, this is Love and Liberty. Peace out.